this is the beer we're gonna create. This is Nanny State by Brewdog. I'm brewing a beer today. It's the Nanny State by Brewdog. It's an alcohol-free beer. It's my first alcohol-free beer, so I thought I'd do a short video, instruction video for you to create your alcohol-free beer as well. It's unbelievable that with just some water, wheat, hops and yeast, you can make this fantastic drink, which is called beer. For the mash, I need to prepare my water first. So I'm using the Anova precision cooker to get my water at exactly 65 degrees. Okay, let's talk ingredients first before the water reaches its right temperature. So here are the ingredients. These are malts. Then we have Columbus, Centennial, Amarillo, Cascade, Simcoe, Atheneum. And then for the yeast, we're using this liquid yeast. That's the 1056 American Ale. So my mash will be 20 liters. I'm heating that up to 65 degrees Celsius. And then I'm gonna mash for about half an hour. The basic idea behind brewing alcohol-free beer is that you start with a very low original gravity. So you can use malts that hardly have any sugars in it. You also not use any other maltodextrin or additional sugars. Also, I expect this beer to end up like a 0.5 volume percentage. So the water has now reached its temperature. I'm now going to add in the grains. To me, brewing beer is not very different from basic cooking. It's actually easy recipe if you think about it. A combination of malts which you let infuse into the water at a certain temperature. You add hops, then you're gonna boil it. You cool it down, you ferment it, so all the sugars inside will convert into alcohols. You can ferment it for a week and put it in bottles. There you have your beers. It's that simple. Mash is done now. I'm gonna cook it and then add in the hops. So I now let it boil for about an hour. Start of the boil, I added the first batch of the hops, then halfway the second batch, and just 5 minutes before the last batch of hops. I'm using this fridge to do the fermentation, the mash. The temperature of the mash right now is 50.2 degrees. I need to cool that down to 19. I set the temperature. And it will override the thermostat in your fridge. So I had to wait about a day for the mash to become exactly 19 degrees. Let me see what's the temperature now. So that's 18.6. Getting the right temperature is important because we want the yeast to work. So it cannot be too cold or too warm, otherwise the chemical reactions will be the same, or maybe the yeast will die. So now I'm gonna take the mash out. I will aerate it first using a drill, and then I'll apply the yeast, and then we wait. So I'm a lazy man. I aerate using a drill. So to aerate is very important because you want to have the oxygen inside of your mash before you apply the yeast. The oxygen will obviously make the yeast work harder and better. One thing we do before I apply the yeast is test the original gravity. If it's too high, I'll need to apply some additional water. Now, I guess that was the whole purpose of this alcohol-free beer. I can see the original gravity is around 1005, so there's hardly any sugar in this mash. So I think we're good to go. Let's see. I'm gonna apply the yeast. So, created the mesh, I've aerated it, applied the yeast, and now we just have to wait for about a week for all this thing to ferment, and then we're gonna bottle. So 24 hours after start of fermentation, I could see the first bubbles coming. It has been 3-4 days. Our brew has been fermenting. It's time to put in the hops now for the dry hopping. That will give the beer a distinct flavor. I'm gonna let these hops sit in the fermenter for about 3-4 more days before we go bottle. Now it's time to bottle. I use these Grolsch bottles. Prime with 1 piece of sugar. Let them sit for 3-4 days more in the probably at room temperature, and then I move them to 19 degrees. Okay guys, this is Nanny State by Brewdog. We're 1 month further. Welcome to Cafe Breeze. This is where I drink the beer after I brew it. And if I pour that beer out, this is how it looks like. This is how it smells like. Now, here I've got my brew, and I'm super excited to see which one is better. Okay, I pour it out, and immediately I can see that the beer by Brewdog has a bit more bubbles, has a bit more foam than my beer. Although after, I would say 10 seconds or so, it starts to become equal. Let's look at the colors now. The colors of both beers are very similar, I would say. They both have this brownish look. Maybe the Nanny State is a bit clear. Yeah, the Nanny State is a bit clearer than my own brew. But now the most important part, the tasting itself. Let me start by taking a sip of my own brew. Alright, nice and refreshing. Hints of chocolate, I would say. That nice hoppy flavor. Really like it. Ooh, compared to the Brewdog Nanny State, you know, the taste is very similar, but this one, the Nanny State, but Brewdog, has more CO2 in it. It's more bubbly. It gives that extra tingy sensation. I'm super happy the way this beer turned out. The color is nice. The feeling in the mouth is nice. It has a nice long aftertaste when you drink it. For me, this is a great alternative without the negative effects of alcohol, obviously. Brew your own alcohol-free beer. I hope I inspire you to brew your own. And with that, cheers and see you later.